If you've ever been on a twin flame journey, you already know it's not for the faint of heart. It's raw, it's intense, it's life changing. And one of the most painful parts of it? The running. The twin flame connection awakens a deep part of your soul. It's not the kind of love that slowly builds over time. It hits fast, hard, deep. And while one of you might embrace it head on, the other often does the exact opposite. They run. The runner, in the twin flame dynamic, usually pulls away after the intensity becomes too much. It could happen after a brief union, after a spiritual awakening, or even after years of dancing in and out of each other's lives. And when they go, it leaves the chaser feeling abandoned, confused, and heartbroken. But here's something you need to understand. Just because they're silent doesn't mean they don't feel. Just because they're distant doesn't mean they've forgotten. And just because they're pretending to move on doesn't mean they have. Many runners regret leaving. They miss you more than they let on, but they won't always show it. In fact, many of them will go out of their way to act like they're fine, like the connection never touched them. And yet, if you look closely enough, there are signs, subtle, quiet, but very real signs, that they're missing you, that they think about you, that they haven't really moved on, no matter what their ego wants you to believe. So today, let's break that down. Let's explore the signs that your twin flame runner is missing you, even if they won't say it out loud. Let's peel back the layers of pride, fear, and emotional armor and look at what's really going on beneath the surface. Because behind every runner is someone who feels deeply but is scared to death of how much. Number 1, they linger in your energy without reaching out. One of the first signs your twin flame runner is missing you is energetic. You feel them, even if there's no contact. You might wake up thinking about them, feel waves of emotion that don't feel like your own, or randomly sense their presence when you're alone. This isn't your imagination playing tricks. It's the soul connection at work. When a twin flame misses you but can't bring themselves to say it, they'll stay close in the only way they know how, energetically. They might not call, they might not message, but they'll think about you constantly. And because your souls are so connected, those thoughts create a ripple you can feel. You might notice songs that remind you of them popping up. Their name might come up in conversations out of the blue. You might dream of them night after night, with dreams that feel real, almost like visits. You might even feel their emotions passing through you, waves of sadness, longing, or nostalgia that have no clear source. They're not contacting you, not because they don't care, but because they're scared of what it will stir up. Scared they'll fall back into that same vortex of intensity that made them run in the first place. But even in silence, their energy seeks you. That's how powerful the bond is. It doesn't need words. It speaks through feeling. If you're in tune with yourself, if your own energy is balanced and grounded, you'll sense it clearly. They're still there, just not in the way you want them to be. Number 2, they keep tabs on you in subtle ways. The runner might pretend they've moved on, but that doesn't mean they've let go. In fact, one of the most telling signs they're missing you is how they watch you from a distance. They might still follow you on social media, quietly checking your posts, but never engaging. Or they might block you, only to unblock you later. They might ask mutual friends about you. They might accidentally like an old photo. They might show up in places you used to go together, or subtly leave traces of their presence for you to find. This behavior isn't random. It's emotional surveillance. They want to know what you're up to, who you're with, how you're doing, but they don't want you to know they care. It's not about manipulation. It's about fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being vulnerable, fear of not being enough. So they resort to distance, to watching instead of speaking, to observation instead of interaction. If you notice patterns, odd coincidences, subtle digital breadcrumbs, strange timings, it's not all in your head. They're still plugged into your world, even if they're not showing up in it directly. And often, this kind of watching carries its own weight of regret. Because every time they check your page or hear your name, they're reminded of what they walked away from. And no matter how much time has passed, that tug never fully goes away. Number 3, they show up in your dreams more frequently. Dreams are a powerful realm for twin flames. It's where the soul speaks freely, unfiltered by ego or fear. And when your runner misses you, dreams become one of the few spaces they can connect with you safely. You might notice they begin appearing in your dreams more often. Sometimes the dreams are warm, reunions, conversations, even emotional healing. Other times they're confusing or intense, but they feel real. There's a level of emotional charge that doesn't come with ordinary dreams. That's because these dreams are often a form of astral contact. Their soul is reaching out, especially during moments when they miss you most but can't bring themselves to reach out in waking life. They may not even realize they're doing it consciously, but their higher self is finding ways to stay close. These dream encounters are more than just memories resurfacing. They often reflect their inner conflict, the push and pull between wanting to come back and fearing the fallout. You may even find yourself waking up with a sense of heaviness or, oddly enough, peace, depending on where they are in their emotional process. Don't dismiss these dreams. They carry insight, messages, and sometimes healing. And more importantly, they reflect a longing that words in the waking world can't yet express. Number 4, they try to distract themselves, but it doesn't work. Another sign that your runner misses you is the way they dive headfirst into distractions. But nothing truly fills the void. They might throw themselves into work, new relationships, hobbies, or even reckless behavior. On the outside, it might look like they've moved on. They're dating again. They're happy. They're traveling, partying, keeping busy. But behind that noise, there's a quiet ache. Runners often try to outrun the connection by burying themselves in the external world. They're hoping to forget, to numb, to move on by force. But the twin flame bond isn't something you can escape just by filling your schedule. They miss you, deeply, but they don't know how to sit with that truth yet. It makes them feel powerless, vulnerable, exposed. So they distract themselves, hoping that with time and enough noise, the feeling will fade. But it never truly does. You might even notice that despite their distractions, they still seem off. Their light isn't as bright. Their energy feels scattered. There's a restlessness about them that doesn't go away, no matter how much they do. That's because, deep down, they're trying to forget something unforgettable. And that ache, that quiet hum of missing you, keeps pulsing beneath all their distractions. Number 5, their relationships don't last long or feel hollow. This one might sting a little, but it's important. When your runner misses you but won't admit it, they often try to replace the connection. Not because they're trying to hurt you, but because they're trying to quiet what's unresolved in themselves. They might jump into another relationship, hoping it will offer peace, stability, or escape. But what often happens? The relationship doesn't last. Or worse, it lasts, but feels emotionally empty. Why? Because the twin flame bond is unique. It awakens parts of them that no one else can reach. Trying to recreate that connection with someone else is like pouring ocean water into a teacup. It just doesn't fit. They might care about their new partner. They might even try to convince themselves that this is what they need. But it won't feel the same. And over time, that difference becomes hard to ignore. You might hear through the grapevine that they're not really happy, or you might sense it in your gut. That's not just your ego talking. That's the soul bond speaking truth. They miss the depth you brought, the way you saw into them, the way you loved them without asking them to be anyone but themselves. And while they may not admit it, part of them quietly compares every connection to what they had with you. Nothing else quite measures up. Number 6, they go through sudden emotional or spiritual awakenings. Sometimes, when a runner misses you but can't face it directly, their soul starts pushing for growth in unexpected ways. They might suddenly become more introspective. They might start exploring things they used to dismiss. Meditation, healing, therapy, spirituality. They might begin questioning their life, their purpose, their patterns. This inner shakeup is often triggered by the quiet, lingering ache of missing their twin flame. They don't always realize that you are the catalyst. But the love they ran from is the very thing that starts waking them up. And here's the thing. Soul awakenings can be messy. They might resist it at first. They might fight their own growth. But once the door is cracked open, it's hard to shut it again. You might notice them changing, slowly, subtly, but surely. They seem more thoughtful, more aware, more human. And while they may not reach out and say, "Hey, I'm waking up because I miss you," Their transformation is often tied to your connection, because missing you forces them to look inward, to question why they ran, to face the parts of themselves they avoided. And that's the beginning of healing. It's not always pretty, it's not always linear, but it's real. Number 7, they experience random waves of grief or nostalgia. Even runners have moments when the mask slips, when their armor cracks. They could be going about their day, working, driving, talking to someone new, when suddenly a wave hits them, a memory, a song, a smell, a moment that reminds them of you. And in that second, all their buried emotions rise to the surface. It could bring tears, or silence, or just a deep ache in their chest. They may not talk about it, they may not show it to anyone, but it's there. And it happens more often than they'd like to admit. These waves of grief or nostalgia are signs of unfinished emotion. The kind of emotion that doesn't go away with time, it just waits. And when it gets triggered, it reminds them of what they had, what they lost, and what they can't seem to shake. This grief is not weakness. It's proof of depth. It's proof that your love mattered. And even though they ran, it left a mark. They miss you deeply, but they don't know how to return without unraveling everything they've built since they left. So for now, they sit with it, quietly, privately, letting the sadness pass like a wave, hoping maybe it'll get easier. But with a twin flame, it never really does. Number 8, they mirror your energy, even from afar. One of the more mysterious but consistent signs your runner is missing you is how they mirror your energy, even when you're apart, and especially when there's no contact. Let's say you're going through a phase where you've started to let go a little. You're healing, finding joy again, taking your power back. Suddenly, you'll sense something shift in them. They might become more present in your dreams, more active on your social media, or show subtle signs of reaching out again. Or maybe it's the opposite. You've been feeling down, longing, heart heavy, and out of nowhere, they start pulling back harder, diving deeper into avoidance. That's not just coincidence, that's energetic mirroring. Because here's the thing about twin flames, even in separation, your souls are always in communication. You're like two sides of the same coin. When one of you shifts, the other feels it. So when your energy changes, when you rise, glow up, heal, or even collapse, they feel the ripple. And often they respond without even realizing it. If you're suddenly getting waves of emotion after weeks of calm, or you sense them pop back into your mind without reason, it's likely because they're thinking about you, missing you, but too afraid to face it out loud. This kind of mirroring isn't just romantic, it's spiritual. It's how your souls help each other grow. But in the context of missing you, it becomes a silent language. One that says, I feel you, I miss you, I'm still connected. Even if their words say nothing at all. It's easy to feel like silence means indifference. That if they haven't called, texted, or shown up, it must mean they've moved on. But in the twin flame journey, things aren't that simple. Silence doesn't always mean absence. Distance doesn't always mean detachment. And coldness doesn't always mean they don't care. Often the runner feels more than they can handle. And rather than confront that emotional tidal wave, they pull away. They run. They shut down. But missing you? That never stops. It lingers in their dreams, in their regrets, in the quiet moments when no one's looking. And even if they never say it out loud, the connection stays with them. So if you're the one feeling the absence, trust that you're not alone in that. They feel it too, maybe more than you realize. The twin flame bond is sacred. And while separation is painful, it's never the end. Sometimes it's just the pause before a new beginning, a space for growth, for healing, for the kind of transformation that only deep love can spark. You don't have to chase, you don't have to prove, you just have to keep healing, rising, and loving yourself the way you once loved them. Because as you do that, you shift the energy. You call them home, not with force, but with presence, with peace, with power. And when they're ready, if they're meant to return, they will, not because you waited, but because you bloomed.